speaker is Karen Harbert, President and CEO of the American Gas Association. Karen, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Gas, we all know, is an increasingly important fuel and resource in the clean energy transition. We preach that both domestically and in our international development practice. Glad to have you back this year, and looking forward to hearing about the progress that your members have made and what you see as the challenges coming forward in 2022. So I'll turn the floor over to you, Karen.
Thanks, Will, and delighted to be here. I wish I wasn't in my dining room. I wish we were all together. I know we all do, but this will have to do for now. By the way, next year when we are in person, I'm going to request that I not follow Tom Kuhn, who gets to invoke, President Kennedy and going to the moon and all those things. I look fairly sophomoric talking about natural gas after thinking about sending a man to the moon. But just a shout out to Sheila, who's doing such a great job, your entire team, Will, and of course, Vicki, as chair of the board. Everybody has really stepped up during this pandemic to keep USEA not just relevant, but firing on all cylinders. So delighted to be back with you. So let's just dive right on in about the state of natural gas, if you will, since this is the state of American energy. Right now, we've got 187 million Americans that are using natural gas in their homes as we speak. From the years 2019 to 2020, so even during COVID, we added more customers than we have in recent history. So we are a fuel of choice and a fuel in demand. 5.5 million businesses are using natural gas right now in their industrial applications, making the things that life revolves around. So we really see ourselves as foundational to the energy system and foundational to our way of life. And why is this? So let's talk about some of the characteristics of the system that are making us so relevant to everyday life. First of all, we're an affordable source of energy. The average American family that uses natural gas in their home saves over $1,000 on an annual basis. And we all know with inflation running rampant right now, what that means to the average American family. They're using that money, whether it's for education or groceries or rent or utilities. That's real money. And over 10 years, they've saved $140 billion. And that's money that's going back into the economy. And on the business side, over the last 10 years, businesses have saved $500 billion. And that's a stimulus to the economy. That's not on the back of taxpayers. That's not something that was appropriated by Congress. That's money that businesses are plowing back into their business. They're hiring people, they're investing, they're expanding. So we see ourselves as a real critical component to our economy and to keep it growing. And we look out to the future, out to 2050, because that's where everybody seems to be looking. And the price forecast, we don't forecast, but IEA and EIA do. We look at the price of natural gas, and it seems to be about a half to a third of the price of many other fuel choices and sources. So we're going to be around a long time because of that affordability characteristic. And because of that, we're adding a customer every minute of every day. I just want that to sink in. One customer every minute of every day. So we are growing. And of course, we support a lot of jobs, life-sustaining jobs. All of us do that are going to be on your dais today. We have about a little over 4 million jobs in the gas industry, life-sustaining wages. And we're proud of those employees. Tom Kuhn just talked about the bucket trucks marching into, a hurricane or a place of disaster. And we also have our own mutual aid. But those are the people who are on the front lines. They put their lives at risk every day to do what is right for our customers, to keep life essential energy flowing on the worst day, but also on the best day. Another reason why we're going to be around for a long time is stability. Now, everybody can appreciate the value of stability, of reliability, particularly during a pandemic. And the reason we're a stable source of energy, of course, a lot of our infrastructure is underground. It's not exposed to the elements. And in many cases, we self-supply our own energy. So that is, that's important. So as you look at the delivery of natural gas, only 1 out of 112 customers will experience an unplanned outage on an annual basis. We're quite proud of that. So Our users, our customers, our communities have come to really expect that reliability, and we have risen to the challenge to meet that obligation to serve every day. And we plan for those worst days. The other thing that we have to take into account is we're really efficient. By the time that Mike Summers, his members get our molecules out of the ground to the point where I'm delivering it to my house, we are 91% efficient. That means we're losing very little of our energy source, which of course keeps it affordable. But energy efficiency is really important. In fact, for many other sources, we're about 3 times more efficient of getting the molecule or the electron in some cases to the house in a very efficient way. Really important, we're safe. That is the industry's North Star, and we invest $91 million every day to continuously improve the safety of our systems. We've got 9.6 million miles of pipeline in this country. Our members run about 2.3 million of those pipes, and we're investing every day to upgrade those pipes. In fact, since 1990, we have replaced about 3 times more pipe with modern materials. Think about taking out of bare steel or other types of old pipe and replacing it with modern plastic piping, which is keeping our system safe and efficient. But we're not done. And we are on a mission for continuous improvement. Our board of directors 2 years ago challenged the entire industry, unanimously agreed to, by the way, to adopt pipeline safety management systems. We're in the final year of that. We will succeed, and we will have the best safety management systems on the planet to continue to deliver our life essential energy. And on top of that, I want to talk about cyber for just a minute, cybersecurity, which of course is getting more and more of a threat to our, not just our country, but to the entire energy systems. Our board called for mandatory regulation. We're on our way to helping the government figure out how best to do that and continuously stepping up our game on cyber. Now, let's turn to one of the most important challenges, and Tom mentioned this, of course, as one of our biggest challenges. We see it as one of our biggest opportunities, which is the environment and climate change. Today, we have reduced in the distribution system our emissions by 70% since 1990, but we're not done. We're continuing, as I said, to replace those pipes and invest in advanced technologies. We're investing $100 million along with EPRI, because Arshad was on here, and the Gas Technology Institute, to find additional low carbon resources to put through our systems. Obviously, hydrogen is a big focus, but we have others as well, which I'll touch on in just a minute. But we are also laser-like focused on helping our customers reduce their carbon footprints. They expect it, they want it, and we're going to deliver. So if you're using natural gas in your home today, we're helping you reduce your carbon footprint 1.2% every year. And that's a big deal for our customers, and they appreciate that, and we prove it to them every day. So that energy efficiency, that reduction at the end of the line is really important for our systems. In fact, we invest $4 million every day in energy efficiency, which is allowing those reductions to happen. And of course, as has been previously mentioned, because of the use of natural gas, both in the power sector and in our residential and industrial and commercial sectors, carbon emissions are at 30-year lows. But as I said, we're not done yet. We have a really ambitious innovation agenda. I mentioned hydrogen, but we also have a very active and ambitious program on renewable natural gas, which is a climate solution. It's actually carbon negative. We're going into the agricultural sector, as an example, and helping dairy farmers or hog farmers. We're capturing the methane that their commodities release, capturing it, cleaning it up, and repurposing it into our systems, which actually makes it carbon negative. So we've got about 175 of those projects up and running, with about another 100 on the books. And we're going to continue to look for those advanced technologies, those renewable natural gases, those carbon neutral opportunities to continue to advance the use of our systems to deliver the climate solutions that our country desires, our customer desires, and our communities deserve. So as I like to say to our members, we're all in and we're not done. So Will, I'll turn it over to you and see if you've got any questions for me.
Karen, thanks for a really complete review of what you're doing in the natural gas industry. I thought that your points about the what you're doing on safety, the importance of improving efficiency, the stability of the sector, and its economic benefits are messages that the public needs to better understand, and as it relates to natural gas. I had a question for you. I know that AGA is partnering with EEI to develop a voluntary reporting template for the financial sector that provides more consistency on ESG accountability. What is this about, and how are you progressing on it?
It's a great question, and we have a great partnership on so many levels with EEI, even if my friend Tom Kuhn likes to invoke President Kennedy. We do have a great partnership on many levels, and in fact, we have joint committees, in fact. And this was an initiative that was born out of the acute awareness of the expectations of the financial community about what are we doing on ESG? What is the individual companies doing? And we were in a place where we were doing a lot, but actually not being able to demonstrate we were doing a lot. And if you were an analyst on Wall Street, you had to look in 70 different places to figure out what we were doing, and not making it very easy for them to be able to say, yes, this is a good investment, because they're doing a lot and making good on their commitments. So working together, we streamlined our reporting, and now using the data that we already have to report to EPA and other parts of the government, we've actually consolidated it and putting it in a streamlined template that anybody, it's not just Wall Street, but stakeholders, customers, just interested observers, the environmental community, can look and see on a company by company basis what we're doing on our environmental, social, and governance perspectives. We're not done. We continue to improve that ESG template. And as a matter of fact, even though it was virtual last year, we rolled out a new version of this ESG reporting template to capture even more characteristics that the environmental and financial community were interested in. And that included methane. What are we doing on methane? And we shouldn't be shy about talking about what we're doing on methane, because we're doing a lot. And so this is a way to really help others see that we are making good on our commitments, that we're serious about it. We can benchmark ourselves, as can they, so we can see over time the trend line, which is only going up in terms of our ability to meet our commitments. So we're quite proud of it, and we want everybody to use it. I know that we have worked with other parts of the industry, midstream and upstream, to ensure that there's even more continuity and uniformity in reporting, and that's underway.
I really love this. I love that it promotes a transparency, but more importantly, maybe an accessibility to the data from the various scattered sources that you mentioned into one consistent format that the public, the environmentalists, and the analysts can all use. So congratulations on that. We'll look forward to hearing more about it next year when you join us at next year's State of the Energy Industry. If you have time for a couple more questions.
Sure.
Great.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm in my dining room.
I'm in my home office. I look forward to the time when we'll be back together again. Tom mentioned, the bipartisan infrastructure legislation. How did you guys come out, and what do you see coming out of that for your members?
So we were very pleased where we ended up with the bipartisan infrastructure package. We didn't start there, and it took a lot of hard work and a lot of traditional shoe leather discussions, virtually, of course, with Capitol Hill, to broaden the applicability of many of the provisions. Because as this day will show to all of your viewers, there's no single source of energy that's going to meet all of our expectations or needs, right? We're going to need it all, whether it's nuclear, Maria was on, whether it's what I do, whether it's what, Tom does, and renewables, we're going to need it all. And so the infrastructure package really needed to be broadened to be applicable to all. We are now included in some of the energy efficiency grants, because, as I just pointed out, making our systems more efficient benefits the entire country and our customers. There are provisions in there that broaden the application of hydrogen, so it's not just for transportation, that we can actually use it through our systems. So I think it was an effort of not being against the package. It was helping people understand that actually to make it more nimble, more flexible, more relevant, to broaden the applicability of many of the provisions. So our members are very pleased where we came out on this. Now we just have to make sure that it actually gets implemented. So, everybody focuses on passing legislation, and then we move on to the next shiny object, right? Well, this is when the rubber really meets the road, which is getting, whether it is the promulgating regulations or whether it's the grants or whatever they might be, the appropriations to follow, that we really need to continue to focus on that so that we do get the benefit of what was truly a bipartisan effort. Our country deserves to reap those benefits, and we're hard at work to making sure that these happen sooner rather than later.
Well said. And I know with your leadership, we will which one of the, I think I may have lost you for a moment, but I'm back.
There we go. I'm back.
Okay. Well, what I was saying is, with your leadership, I'm sure that we will get that implementation regulations and all of the mechanisms in place, and we really appreciate all the support that you're giving to that. One last question, if I might. Your members and your AGA recently published your 2021 playbook. What's the most significant elements of the playbook going forward?
Well, that's great. And by the way, stay tuned. 2022 is coming right off the presses in a few short weeks. So we'll even have some more updated numbers for you. And we've got a couple announcements up our sleeve for February. So stay tuned for that. I think one of the most interesting things for just the average, American to know is how much we are growing. If you pick up any newspaper, we want to ban fossil fuels, natural gas is going away, and yet we added more customers throughout this pandemic than we have in our recent history. Why? Maybe it's because people are at home and they've decided that they like their homes to be warm and that they're cooking more at home, or just the fact that we're affordable right now, which is a huge, important thing for American families. So the amount that we're growing, I think, is important, and the amount that we're investing for tomorrow. Investing not just in over $90 million every day in safety or $4 million in energy efficiency, but we are really investing in those innovative technologies of the future: hydrogen, RNG, advanced appliances, heat pumps. There's so many exciting things that are going on. We actually held in person, unlike today, unfortunately, because Omicron, we held our biggest annual event in the fall of last year. We were able to do it, thank goodness, in person. We had 1,800 people there, and it's an exhibition of showing all the cool stuff that the industry is doing. And when you walk the halls of that exhibition space, you just get so inspired of the drones that we're using, some of the virtual technology that we're putting through our pipes. I mean, I'm sitting here in DC, but I could be cleaning a pipe in Nebraska right now if I wanted to with some of our technologies. So we're really proud of our commitment to innovation. We're really proud of our commitment to reducing emissions. And I just hope that as we continue the discussion on climate change, that it is well understood that this industry, the product that we currently deliver, the products that we will deliver in the future, but most importantly, our infrastructure is so valuable. It's built, it's paid for, and we can use it as a climate solutions delivery mechanism for decades and decades and decades to come.
Really good point. And that leads me to my last question. The delivery system is here. What do we need to do for the future to enable RNG and hydrogen to use that delivery system? Are there standards that need to be developed? Are there technical concerns that need to be overcome? Research? What do we need to do?
Great question. I mean, the first thing is and you've heard it from some of your previous speakers, and I know you're going to hear it from some that are coming up. We still need more infrastructure. And we need to make the permitting process easier. I mean, Mike talked about some of the oil pipelines that were canceled. I could talk about some of the gas pipelines were canceled, but I'm sure Amy will cover that. It's just getting harder and harder. You look at the Northeast, and we have, now turned to importing liquefied natural gas from other countries to satisfy winter demand rather than building pipelines into the Northeast. It's not practical. It's unfathomable that we are going to rely on Russian LNG rather than natural gas from the Marcellus. But to your point about renewable natural gas and hydrogen, And there are no standards, which is why we've got pilot projects all over the country using different feedstocks, whether it's from a landfill or from a dairy farm. And we're putting into our systems. And we know the blend rate right now of what is acceptable into our systems. On hydrogen, we have the Low Carbon Resources Initiative, as I mentioned, with EPRI and GTI, really looking at some of those technology challenges. We're watching very closely how hydrogen is evolving in Europe. There are problems, there's challenges, but there's opportunities there. But we're still going to need more infrastructure to deliver today's fuels and tomorrow's fuels. We do need more research. We're still hopeful that DOE and the National Lab System will embrace broader uses of hydrogen. So it's not just for the transportation sector, that there's broader applicability. So there's R&D that's needed. There's the other D, the demonstration. And then we need to find a way to mobilize that capital, right? And we're not an industry that asks for handouts. We're not saying, we need money from the government to do all this, but we need a hand up. And that's what we're trying to work with the government to help us prove this out at scale so we can commercialize it at affordable, in an affordable range.
Karen, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time with us today to give us an overview of what your members are doing. I've never been more optimistic and enthusiastic about the future of natural gas, and I think your discussion here today just reinforced that for our viewers. I look forward to talking to you again next year and hearing about the progress we're making.
Thanks, Will, and great luck for the rest of the day.
Thanks, Karen.